Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Walking Dead, formerly the season finale, but because obviously the news came out there were going to be more episodes, so this is the old season finale, but it's not the current season finale, so it's just being treated like a regular episode, even though some stuff still confused me because it was still labeling it as the season finale. It's a whole thing. But nevertheless, this was a great episode because a lot of really interesting things went down. It's a very tense episode too, because regardless of I like that this show can still make me feel on edge, because you never know just right where because things still I feel like can not necessarily jump scares, but it's just kind of honestly anyone can get it at any point in time, so you're just I'm always on edge a little bit. I'm because I'm always nervous about what could happen. But nevertheless, it's we're picking up at the hospital and everyone's just kind of getting everything ready. It's the horde is outside, and obviously some of the kids are worried because it's when it's all said and done, it's there's so many of them out there. But then Gabriel uses his hand, for example. It's these are us, but then we come together and we're a formidable foe. It's we got this group, we got the Kingdom, we got Oceanside, we got Alexandria, we got Hilltop. But it's is that going to be enough? But you didn't let me finish. There's this too, and that's everyone else that's out there helping us fight too. So everyone getting prepared for this. Obviously we get a little insight just seeing where all the different groups are. Eugene and them. Obviously we get Maggie. We see her opening the letter. Obviously that's something I kind of already went into this knowing that she was coming back, because I'd seen some stuff a while back talk about it, but then there was also I think it's just also because the episode was delayed, so even more of that already came. Regardless, but it's interesting because she finally got that letter, and it's a letter yeah, Jesus is dead, Enid's dead, some shit's going down, because the last time we saw Maggie was part way through season 9 is when she left. I think, yeah, because she left during the time skip. I believe I could be mistaken. I don't. I want to say I think that's when Lauren Cohen wasn't in the show for a while. Was back in partway through season 9 after everything went down with Rick. I think I can't remember. She might have left sometime afterwards. I don't remember. It's been a while, so my memory's kind of shit. I do apologize. So that's a lot she had to be caught up on, because they also had to explain, yeah, there's this group known as the Whispers. It's man, you missed out on so much. I can't believe it. It's kind of crazy. We also see Aaron and I'm always blanking on home dude's name. Enid's boyfriend, I always blank on home dude's name. They get saved by someone in a mask, and it's what the hell is that whole situation about? But regardless, obviously it's with everything going on, it's we gotta find, they have come up with a plan that basically they're gonna use some loud music to kind of draw them towards a cliff and get basically all the walkers to walk off the cliff. It's that's how they're gonna deal with the horde. It's but obviously it's a thing of Lydia wants to come, but it's some of the people from Oceanside are you might trust her, but we don't, so if you take her, we're not coming. But it's Lydia's got other roles to play. Luke is there, helping put everything together. That whole situation I thought was kind of interesting too, putting the guts on themselves and stuff like that. They haven't done that since, I want to say season 6 was the last time they've done that in the show, to my recollection. I know I'm probably missing something, but I want to say that was the last time I remember that happening. It was that whole thing that went down in Alexandria. I want to say that was the last time that was done. It comes up every once in a while. At least in this show. Maybe Fear the Walking Dead's done it more. But, it comes up from time to time. It's not they do it all the time. But I feel there probably was a more recent... Probably not just one, but there are probably other recent examples of it that I'm just blanking on right now. But regardless, obviously, everyone's getting, ready and everything. And obviously... there's the whole conversation about Michonne too. It's Daryl's I wish, she had told me because I would have went with her. But, Carol's reminding him, it's the only reason why she was able to go is because she knows that you would be here for Judith and RJ, And it's obviously because for him, he's scared because he's I'm worried I'm never going to see her again, because they've lost so many people over the course of this series that it's just, but Carol's you still got me, So there's also some interesting conversations between people. You have the whole Carol and Lydia thing, because because obviously some people are around her, like around Carol being like, because obviously she orchestrated the whole thing with Negan, who basically helped attack Hilltop and get people killed. So it's like, yeah, people had their reservation. I mean, and Carol already kind of feels the hate. She's already very like in a very self-hating mood right now herself. Diane's like, yeah, because it's like, no, I get it. You don't have to explain. And then Lydia comes to check up on her, and it's like. And Lydia's like, I don't hate you, you know that, right? And it's like, you should, like, it's like, because regardless of anything, I still killed your mom. But it's like, she hadn't been my mom that wasn't my mom. Like, her mom died a long time ago in her eyes, But, she, and I thought it was kind of interesting, because she's like, if you want to, like, she's like, I would like to talk more in the future. And, Carol's like, the fact of the matter is you got to find your own way. And, kind of like saying like this would never kind of work the way you think it is. And Lydia's like, I'm not trying to find another mom. The fact of the matter is, what was she saying, that we could, we could find out what this, we don't know what this could be. This could be something else. And she's saying that you can be something else. You don't have to just pigeonhole yourself into, like we don't have to be these old versions of ourselves. We can always be something new, And obviously there's a whole conversation she has with Negan too, because Negan's supposed to go with them, but because Daryl's like, why aren't you, covered up? And it's like, he's like, obviously, like, all of them, the Whisperers want me dead. I'm at the top of their hit list. Plus, Beta's definitely going to want me dead. So it's like, if I'm out there, you're trying to be covert, I'm just going to draw too much attention. But obviously for, Daryl, it's like, if you want to be a part of this, then you got to nut up and you got to be brave. You got to do some shit if you want to be a part of this, But obviously for him, it's a whole thing of like, obviously he's talking to Lydia, like, no matter what we do, they're never going to accept us. After all I've done, who you were a part of, like, they're never going to accept us no matter how much good we try to do, because obviously he's telling Lydia she could take this opportunity to kind of bounce. And, she's like, because he's like, I'm no hero. And she's like, you could be, so that is kind of, interesting. And obviously she has a mask and everything. It's like, what is she going to do? And obviously Daryl and the others, they're kind of sneaking out, and it's just kind of like that tense moment, them walking by the dead and everything. And it's just like, and I love that, like, you see, like, because I'm like, yeah, but how are you going to handle the Whispers? There's a whole bunch of them in there. And it's like Lydia's pointing them out. And obviously, like, Diane and them are, like, locked and loaded and just, like, shoot some arrows. They go down screaming. Those, because there's so many, just pounce on, ripping them to pieces. I felt so bad for the actress. I don't know that actress's name, but she plays Piper in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's just interesting seeing her, because obviously she pops up in the series finale as well. So it's neat to see her in this, which is so interesting because, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ended, and now, like, her character's story ends in this because she ends up getting killed. That sucked ass. That Whisperer made sure, like, oh, I'm going down, I'm taking you down with me. It's like, oh. I don't think there's anything Carol could have really done for her anyway. But when it's all said and done, though, Lydia was able to, pick up the bag, like, because they need to set up the stereo system and everything. I also thought it was kind of this neat thing of, obviously, like, because obviously with everything going on with Kelly, like, obviously, like, her out of anyone, she's the one wearing the mask, because, like, obviously, like, she needs it kind of the bigger protection just because she needs to be hidden the most because of her circumstances. And I think, obviously, like, it's just, I like that whole thing between her and Daryl, because obviously the whole Connie thing as well, but it's like, Daryl kind of being there for her and everything. And also, like, Jerry, geez, I was blanking on Jerry's name. Jerry and Magnus, like, that whole situation, because obviously he was like, are you going to be okay? Like, obviously with what you went through before, like, walking through that horde of dead's not going to be the easiest thing. And she's like, it's going to be fine. And you can kind of see her kind of freezing up a little bit, but Jerry touches her to be like, no, it's okay. I'm with you. I got you. And luckily they made it through. Like I said, Lydia ends up making it through with them. So they set up the system, and obviously it's like, they're trying to lead the horde away. Obviously, there's also some Whisperers trying to break in, and obviously Gabriel's trying to lead everyone away, try to get them all out in time. And obviously Judith is like, you're not coming, are you? And it's like, give this message to Rosita. It's like, he's going to do, you know. And once again, I think that's the beauty of like Gabriel's story, like him being who he is, becoming as brave and reliable as he has. Because obviously you look at where his story was at the beginning, like the whole tortured past he had about like, you know, leaving his congregation essentially to die. All of that, like, and to see where he is, you know, willing to, like, if I'm going to go down, take some of these SOBs down with me, so, you know, that they don't, you know, mess everything up because they're coming through. And because there was, like, a weapon, like an axe, something going through the door, I was like, oh, that's very shining. I don't know whether that was kind of what aesthetically they were kind of winking and nodding and going for, but I thought that was such a neat little element. But, yeah, luckily I'm skipping around a little bit, but I was like, Gabriel was being held down. I was like, shit. It's like, is someone going to save him at the last second? Freaking Maggie comes in with this. Well, Maggie and whoever her masked person is. It's like, we still don't know who the hell that is. I'm like, why is that? Is that going to be like a reveal or something? Because I wonder, is that connected to one of the other shows? Like, is that connected, like, Fear the Walking? You know, because, like, there's so much connectivity between these shows that, you know, like, once again, as someone who hasn't watched Fear the Walking Dead, there's stuff that's being pulled over that I'm like, you know, I don't know if that's something that is, in fact, being pulled over, or is that something we're not supposed to know? Probably if you're a comic book person, you're like, oh, I know exactly who and what that is. Or maybe that's something specific to the show. You never know with, you know, adaptations and stuff like that, especially as someone who's never read the comic book, so I don't even know if that is something being adapted or not. But nevertheless, it's kind of nice, that reunion and everything, because even he's like, almost, Maggie, whoa! It's like, you know, came back at the perfect time. So obviously, you know, they're trying to lead the dead away, but it's not working because the Whisperers are amongst them, and it's like, now they have to, they're trying to defend the speakers and everything, but it's like, we got to just abandon ship and get out of here. So they end up destroying it, so now it's like, well, what do we do? Lydia's suggesting she be the one to lead them to the cliff, but it's like, no, that's kind of a suicide mission, because if you do that, like, there's no way around it. But for Lydia, it's like, it's got to be me. My mom taught me how to lead them, so I can be the one to do it. But obviously with Darrow, it's like, no, we're going to find another way. Like, we got to deal with the Whisperers right now, because if we don't, like, everyone we care about will die if we don't take care of the Whisperers now. And I thought was this neat, like, not necessarily a montage, but this badass moment of them just, like, killing the Whisperers and then disappearing amongst, like, the dead again. It's like almost, it's almost like this Batman thing of, like, disappear. I don't know why I thought that was just so dope. It's just like, you strike and then, like, some walkers go behind and you, like, blend in, because you have Beta looking around, because it's like, shit, like, you know. And I thought that was so badass and stealthy. And then you had that moment where it's like, Negan calls him out. I was like, oh, but Negan, I was about to say, oh, does Negan have his moment? But it's like, he doesn't necessarily have his moment. But Beta's like, oh, this is for Alpha. And lo and behold, you know, Daryl comes over, stabs him through. I was like, I was kind of, but then the blades come out of his eyes. And I was like, oh, so you're still alive. Jeez, I guess that didn't stab the brain for whatever reason. I was like, oh. And he's there, like, you know, for him, it's like he's remembering everything, you know, him and Alpha, like her bringing him into the fold and everything, you know, and for him, it's like, you know, he's embracing it all, you know, and as the walkers are taking him, he's smiling and stuff, and then his mask comes off, which I love the line from Negan being like, holy shit, do you know who that asshole was? And then Daryl being like, yeah, a nobody. And I was like, I love that, because obviously the show constantly hints to the fact is that he was a somebody that people recognize, because it, you know, obviously stuff, and I think it was the previous episode showed that he was like a singer or something, so he was famous enough, because even Negan's like, holy shit, did you know who that is? But like for him to be like, yeah, nobody, it's this funny thing of like, because nobody's nobody in this world anymore. Like who you were before kind of doesn't matter. It's just like, I'm sure in Daryl's mind it's like, he's just another dead asshole, you know? So I just thought that was such an interesting thing. Oh my god, do you know who that is? Yeah, they don't care, neither does the show. It's like, because like I said, the show's shown you that he was somebody, but it's at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't really matter, you know? I mean, he kind of abandoned who he was anyway. I'd looked into it and knew that it was, because that actor, you've seen him in so many things, like obviously like Remember the Titans and stuff like that. I feel like there's something more recent. I want to say it was like a short-lived teen. Oh, I was about to say Bosch. He works for Chandler on Bosch. What's his character? I'm blanking on his character's name. That's the most recent thing of Solomon. I think that was season 5. I don't think he was in season 6. I think he was only in season 5. Yes, if I remember correct. That's like the most recent thing I'd seen him in. But I knew it was that actor. It's just like I didn't know whether they'd actually ever show his face. I don't remember if the last episode they actually showed his. I don't think they did. So this is like the first face reveal and everything. And it just that moment being what it is. But then you have Lydia leading the dead away, and she's getting closer and closer. And then Carol's like, "You go, I'm gonna do this," and she's getting closer and closer to the edge because I think with everything that because at the end of the day, getting revenge didn't do anything. She talked about like it might have been before or it might have been after, but it's like he's like it doesn't. She definitely talked about it later where it's like it didn't fix anything. Getting revenge didn't matter in the end. It didn't fix anything. It didn't bring Henry back. It didn't bring back all the people they lost. It's just like she was herself lost, and so she was just not in a good place. So she was about to die, but Lydia pulled her back and she's like, "No, I told you let me go." She's like, "You told me to find my own way, and this is it." And Carol thanks her because it's just like she needed someone there to pull her from the edge, and I think that's a beautiful thing right there to see that bond and that relationship grow into that. Like I think this doesn't have to be like a mother-daughter relationship. It's like because like Lydia herself said, "I'm not looking for another mom," but it's like maybe it will become like that. I don't know. Because obviously it also represents like that little bit of that void of like neither one of them having Henry, like having each other after everything that they've lost. Obviously she's lost more children than people you would ever want to lose in a lifetime, which is so interesting because I made that Bosch reference because I might have talked about this. I think I definitely have talked about it. The actress who played her actual daughter from like season 1 and season 2 is the actress who plays Maddie, Bosch's daughter. So there is a correlation in that because obviously Maddie kind of kicks it with Chandler going forward. So it's interesting when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, like connectivity between TV shows and stuff. Like I thought it was kind of interesting. But luckily the entire horde ends up walking off and they're there themselves, and it's like it all worked out. Everybody's reunited, hugging, and I love the whole thing with because now it's like like Lydia saved the day, but Lydia's also like Carol. Like these are two people who a lot of people in this group some people in this group might have a hard time being okay with, but at the end of the day, like it's like you both kind of saved the day too. So, but I like that moment between her and Negan because she's like, "You're still here." He's like, "For now," and her kind of leaning on him, and I'm like. So it's not just her bond with Carol or Daryl, it's also her bond with Negan and what that relationship is going to mean for his character going forward, because it's like, it's like every once in a while I can be the hero. And I like that. It like, a comparison would be like, if you're familiar with the show The 100, Negan reminds me of a Murphy, a John Murphy. He kind of reminds me of Murphy in that regard. But I'm curious to kind of see what this all kind of means for Negan, going forward. But obviously, like I said, there's a conversation between Daryl and Carol because, like I said, like, it didn't fix anything because he's like, "Did you get what you wanted?" And she's like, "No, like revenge, it doesn't matter. Like we stopped all of this, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because like it doesn't bring back what we lost." But at the end of the day, it's like, Daryl's like, "You still got me," and she's like, "Yeah, like they've still got each other throughout all of this." And I thought it was just kind of this beautiful sentiment, like Judith running up to Maggie because you haven't seen her in for like forever and hugging her. And I was like, "Oh, probably have to be introduced." Like, "Oh, this is I don't know if she was around when RJ was born or not, so I don't know if she's that familiar with him." But it's like just seeing this all kind of worked out. Yeah, they lost some people along the way, but it's like everything kind of still worked out. And like I didn't expect this to end with the Whisperers being defeated. I did not see that. I was like, "Oh wow, that entire squad is gone." It's like, because also that's another thing too, like regardless of anything, that was somewhat a family for Lydia, so that entire family is gone. But you can make the argument she has a new family, a better family, than that, so like everything's kind of resolved in that regard. But it's like, because obviously like Daryl's about like, "Oh yeah, New Mexico's still there," and then Carol is like, "Yeah, but maybe some point later, maybe another time, because right now we're needed here more so than anything." So I'm curious to kind of see where the next stage of their story takes them, because obviously we flip over to like everything with Eugene in them, and obviously the bite is messed up, and obviously they're like, "All right, let's try to get this bite fixed," but Eugene's kind of like, it doesn't matter. We were supposed to be there in a time frame. So even if Stephanie was there, she's not there anymore. So it's kind of like a, let's just go back. It's all for nothing, because he's like, the time needed to fix everything and get there at our pace. Like, it'd be too late. But, you have Ezekiel being like, you were there for me when I was kind of, at my lowest, when I was kind of giving up, and I'm not going to let you give up either. Because the fact of the matter is, despite everything, we're not going home. Like, we came out this far, and the fact of the matter is, we can't stop. It's like, we can't stop until we know that we've done everything that we possibly can, And I thought it was kind of beautiful for that to come full circle, for Ezekiel to kind of be picking him up, to be like, all right, let's go. He's like, even if I have to carry you myself. And so we see them kind of eventually make it to the spot, but it's like Stephanie's not there. So it's like, what are we going to do? But obviously, for Eugene, it's like, we're still not going back. The fact of the matter is, there's probably still like-minded people out there that we can rally and come together throughout all of this. So we're going to run into Stephanie and her people, and, we're going to keep going. And I like, Princess being like, man, you are one horny dude. I thought she's going to be like, oh, that was a moving speech. And it's like, nah, you're a super horny dude. And Yumiko and Ezekiel are laughing. And so it's like, all right. So, but before they're able to go, all of a sudden people in suited up armor and stuff like that, guns are like, put your weapons down, they're surrounded. It's like, what's this all about? So do know I watched the World Beyond before I watched this episode, so I think I even said, like, I don't know, like, what goes on in the finale, whether it kind of lends itself to, what goes on in World Beyond. Kind of does. They're dressed differently, but I'm assuming this has something to do with, like, the Civic Republic, which obviously I've said it before, I haven't watched Fear the Walking Dead, but it seems like they've made appearances in that too, like who this group is, what their whole thing is, because obviously this is that same group that obviously Jadis took Rick to, that she was a part of and everything, so it's like that whole situation. So it's like, obviously they're continuing to be this bigger threat. Like, we don't know, once again, why they did what they did in World Beyond. You're like, I don't get why you did that to that community. Like, what are you after? Like, are you trying, like, because that makes me think, like, does that mean Stephanie's part of this group as well? Like, why are you trying to draw people in, Because I just, the entire time, you can't help but feel super suspicious about Stephanie, just the way she operated. I'm like, it makes sense, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, man. It just never sat right. But now you have them being captured, but it's like, well, because obviously we know this also, like, once again, like, Rick is supposed to be in, like, the Walking Dead movie, so you'd assume all this will eventually, like, connect in that regard. Like, I don't know what those movie statuses are. I don't know whether that's like they're coming up soon, because they're supposed to be like, what, 1, 2, like, it's supposed to be like 2 or 3, isn't it? Because it's supposed to be like more than one, I think. Because obviously it's so interesting, because like obviously this is like this group or whatever, it's like the overarching, because once again, like they are as well equipped as they are. They're talking about they're looking for a cure, yet it seems like they're willing to just toss people aside. Then there's the whole like thing, like, because they replay it at the end, the whole Jadis thing about her being like, oh yeah, is he an A or a B? And then she calls Rick a B, which we don't really fully still understand that system. But it's like, whatever that thing is, it doesn't seem like the Civic Republic does. I mean, not unless they do. Like, maybe that's why Elizabeth is kind of like that with the whole Iris thing, because, like, maybe she's taken an interest in Iris and Hope. Maybe one of them's an A, the other one's a B. Like, you know what that means in the grand scheme of things. Maybe a B is someone who can be part of this, who can be a fighter, and A is supposed to be maybe someone you can experiment. I don't know what to make of all of it. Maybe watching Fear the Walking Dead will give me at least a little more insight. Won't probably give me full answers, but it might give me more insight to all of this. But yeah, crazy old finale, but now just another episode, because there are supposed to be more episodes. So the show's coming back in 2021. So because I don't know if they specified how many more episodes. For whatever reason, in my head I'm thinking 6, but I don't know where I'm getting the number 6 from. I don't think I read them saying specifying like how many new episodes are going to be tacked onto this season. But it's like, because like I think they're currently writing 11 stuff for like season 11 now and everything. But it's like, regardless, we got the next couple episodes that are being tacked on as kind of bonus episodes for season 10. Kind of very much like the Lucifer situation, because Lucifer's like, season 3 was like 24 episodes, but technically it's 26 when you latch on to 2 bonus episodes. So, but regardless, like, we are entering endgame for The Walking Dead to a certain extent. I mean, granted, we still got a buffer zone of those bonus episodes, but obviously it's coming back for an 11th and final season. But obviously this world is still going, because there's everything with Fear the Walking Dead. There's still, even though it's going to be a short, limited show, there's still world beyond. Because I think that in itself will give us a little more insight to the world, because obviously we're kind of, once again, like Fear the Walking Dead, having not watched it, I think it's, once again, I think it takes place in California. I think it started in California, but I think it's still in California. Obviously, this show takes place in Georgia. Once again, I know they filmed in Georgia, but I'm pretty sure the entire show is in Georgia as well. Regardless, so I think World Beyond gives you a little bit, like I said in my review, like a little more of a world view of everything going down. But I'm interested to see where The Walking Dead takes us continuing forward, because I was literally about to stop because I'm an idiot, because there's still another key point, because we see Connie. I'm like, Connie, it's like, what you been up, what happened, you know? It's like, and then like, lo and behold, a horse. I'm like, who's gonna be on the horse? And it turns out to be Virgil, and I'm like, wait, what? Because like, the last time we saw Virgil, he was on that, I actually don't remember. He stayed on an island, didn't he? He stayed behind, I believe. I actually don't remember now. Like I said, it's been a while. Because it was in Michonne's last episode, and I want to say he stayed behind. I don't think he went with but I guess he eventually decided to venture back out. And so, because he went to Oceanside, but obviously no one was there, but he ends up running across Connie, so I'm like curious like where that's going to end up going. Once again, I brought it up, the fact is I thought it was kind of interesting. There was a character named Dante, obviously him being a whisperer, and now there's the whole thing with Virgil. Like, I thought at the time I mentioned it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But like I said, I'm curious to see where all of this takes us when The Walking Dead returns. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.